Yesterday I was with one of our congregations and I had a couple of experiences that showed me again how we do church as Presbyterians. Kind of a reformed understanding that the pastor is not in charge, that the elders make most of the decisions, and how we recognize gifts in other people. The first experience had to do with hymn books. I was worshiping in a church and leading worship there, in between an interim pastor being there and the called pastor arriving. They have two different worship services. The first one was contemporary, where we didn't use any hymn books at all. The second one uses hymn books. In the printed bulletin, there was a reference to the Presbyterian hymnal with a number. So as I was preparing for that second worship service, I started looking for the Presbyterian hymn book in the pews. I couldn't find any. So I said to the organist, "I'm not sure, I think this means Presbyterian hymn book, but I can't find them, what do we do?" And she said, "Oh, well, here's the story. Our interim pastor was very Presbyterian, and he liked that Presbyterian hymn book. But we don't like it. And we've heard that the pastor who's coming is very Presbyterian. So we wanted to be sure to get those Presbyterian hymn books out of here before he arrived. So we packed them all up in boxes, and those guys who were just carrying the boxes out, they were carrying those Presbyterian hymn books out of here before our new pastor arrives." So their worship committee and their session had decided exactly which worship book they wanted to use, which hymn book, which is not a Presbyterian one, and they got the other ones out of the building so the pastor couldn't even find them when he arrives next week. I thought that was kind of interesting. Then the other thing that happened that reminded me again of how we understand call in the Reformed tradition, in the Presbyterian Church, was something that happened during the contemporary worship service. There were a few people up on the chancel area who were leading worship, one of whom was a woman who was playing the tambourine very well as a part of the contemporary music. She must be a teacher or something, because she noticed what I had also noticed as well, that there was a little boy in the congregation, maybe 10 or 11 years old, who was very enthusiastically clapping along, not exactly in time, but clapping along with the songs as they were singing them. So during the last song that we sang in that contemporary worship service, I saw her gesture to him. She had to do it a couple of times, but she finally got him to come up onto the chancel area with her, and she handed him her tambourine, and she let him begin to hit it against his leg. And again, he wasn't quite doing it in time with the music. So every once in a while, she would reach over and take a hold of his arm and get that tambourine to go against his leg in the rhythm that was supposed to be used. He was so proud to have been invited up there. But it reminded me especially of the way we understand call in the Presbyterian Church. She noticed a gift that he had, and an enthusiasm that he had for a part of the life of that congregation together, and she called that gift forth from him. She put him into a position of leadership that he hadn't even imagined he might do in order to use that gift and that enthusiasm. So two examples in one of our churches of how we do church as Presbyterians. The elders, and in this case the worship committee, were really in charge of what hymn book is going to be used. And this woman saw a gift in another member of the congregation and put it to its best use.